you vote in this recent
voted.
election? It's kind of a personal question. Some people don't vote. They have reasons. That they're not properly represented, that the system itself brings out the worst in people, that it tends to be too acrimonious, that there are better ways of arriving at solutions, that your vote doesn't really count, it doesn't really make sense. A few years ago, for some of those reasons, I decided I wasn't going to vote. And then afterwards, I felt, oh, well, I didn't accomplish anything. All my feelings about how I wanted this world to be and our society to be weren't any further along because I hadn't voted. So I thought, well, okay, that didn't work. And then another year, another election, in order to register my discontent and my desire for things to be different, I spoiled my ballot.
Oh.
And that felt really stupid. So I tried that. This year, thinking about voting, I wanted to feel really good about my vote. And I thought about the fact that women have only been allowed to vote for, a little over 100 years. It was fairly recent. And then I thought about it in the community, all the people that come to the polling station, that there's this meeting your neighbor and everyone's come to participate, and there's that feeling of community. And then there's the appreciation of diversity, all these different perspectives, viewpoints. Everybody wants what's best for their families, their children, for society. We all want to live in a harmonious and balanced society. This is in our nature. And people just have different ways and perspectives about it. And we need to hear all of that. And that's what I set my intention about. I like the idea of voting being an expression of everybody's individual deep desires, envisioning for their community, for society, the way of making things really good and better and always getting better. Kind of a kingdom of heaven on earth here. That feeling of it, like what's the best possible thing you could imagine? Right now we do have a system in place and we give value to the individual and the individual voice. And that's something that I want to participate in. And when I went to the polling station, it was a rainy day. It's nice to get in out of the rain and then to watch people coming and going, and people were very friendly. And I smiled at everyone and felt genuinely glad that we were all doing this together. It was a good experience for me, and it got me thinking more about that sense of the value of the individual and why our voice is worthwhile. Why is that? This is relatively recent that we have, as I said, for women, it's only been, over 100 years. And where did that come from, that affirmation? And it might surprise you to learn, as I did recently, by listening to one of my favorite YouTube channels, Esoterica, with Dr. Justin Sledge. He talked about the spiritualist movement in the United States from roughly 1840 to maybe 1860. It extended further, but there was this period of time where people were fascinated, enthralled, inspired, and engaged with the idea of receiving information about an advanced society, an improved way of interacting. They were receiving it from souls that had passed on. Originally, it was Emanuel Swedenborg in the late 18th century who started understanding or talking and teaching that he didn't believe in hell, so all souls after death would keep on learning. And this idea became very popular among religious circles. And then combined with certain other developments to do with electricity and mesmer and it was just a fascinating conjunction of events. People started to entertain the idea of connecting with the spirits of those who had passed on. And it turned out, in a very surprising twist of fate, that the ideal channels for this wisdom was women. Because women at that time were considered so passive, so completely ignorant, so uninvolved in anything such as complex social issues or political issues, that when they spoke, men listened. They were considered the ideal, the pure channels, because of course they weren't capable of having ideas of their own. So these women, there was a number of them. Cora Hatch was one who was quite well known. They spoke to hundreds and thousands of people about a very radical social agenda, right in the forefront of the move to abolish slavery and also women's emancipation. And they were allied with radical Quakers as well. Well, this is really interesting, isn't it? That kind of a religious and spiritual movement had these momentous effects in the social fabric and in advancing this agenda of the rights of the individual, the dignity of the individual, the worth of the individual. Now you might ask, is that happening today? And are there any churches, religious, spiritual movements? And I think there are. I mean, I found one myself that I listened to online, an online church. It's called Community of Christ, and they have their website is Center Place. And they do all kinds of educational lectures, but their focus is so completely on justice, social justice, climate justice, equality, everything that we would envision as being part of this heaven on earth. And the fact that they are so bright, just shining a light on this vision, regardless of what's happening around in the world, I think it is very inspiring and uplifting. And it brings home to me, again, circled back around to voting and our individual voice, that it's so important that we give expression to our voice, that we are aware of the value and the worth of our own perspective, our experience, our desire. And this can be enacted in terms of voting, and I think that there are many other ways. Let's look for some other opportunities. Let's figure this out. Let's express ourselves.